Hello. You know what that means? It must be Monday, which means it's time for another episode of the Big D podcast. Before I bring in Alex, please subscribe, like, and share the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page where we've got great content coming. I hope everybody saw my YouTube video of yours truly taking the GoPro around Bellaterra and Estero. Hope you all enjoyed it. And by the way, I am running the October 5 10K this weekend in Naples. Who loves a full 45 a.m. wake up call? So, and also please check out the Big D podcast on Spotify and Apple iTunes. So, joining me for his weekly appearance is Alex. So, Alex, sorry about your Dolphins yesterday.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, how are you doing, Dylan? Glad to be back as always. Yeah, it's it's everything we expected pretty much.
An absolute butt kicking.
Yeah. I tried to convince myself that Miami's good at playing Tom Brady in Florida, and it could be a trap game, but nope, not so much.
Not exactly. Well, I think we can safely say this. No one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills in the AFC.
Yeah, I mean, how about them Bills? Chris Berman's always said it. No one circles the wagons. They sure are right now. I mean, they've got potentially one of the best quarterbacks in the entire league. I mean, Josh Allen, he's hurdling defenders. He's throwing bombs. I mean, congrats to Buffalo Bills fans, because you guys got a star in the making. He's already halfway there.
He's not halfway there. He's like all the way there.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, that game last night wasn't. I'll be honest. The final score of that game wasn't 38-20. It was more. It was an absolute beatdown by the Bills because Buffalo did not blitz Kansas City while the Chiefs came after Josh Allen. I mean, the two stats. One stat for the Bills that absolutely stunned me was Buffalo threw the ball 26 times.
Yeah.
Kansas City threw the ball 54 times. And yet Josh Allen, I mean, Buffalo got average 12 yards per pass offside. Kansas City didn't even average 5.
I don't know, man. The Kansas City Chiefs sitting at 2-3. I mean, everyone expected them to be. It's just shocking. I mean, there's not much more you can say about it. Honestly, the look on your face is perfect. I mean, they've been the Super Bowl contenders for the last couple of years. I mean, they were the team to beat in the AFC, and they are not the team to beat anymore. I mean, the AFC goes through Buffalo, and it was proven last night. And it's going to be proven through the rest of the season because, I mean, with Kansas City sitting at 2-3, it doesn't even look like they're the best. I don't even know if Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in that division anymore. I mean, it's that might be an overreaction Monday if we're on Pat McAfee's show. But, I mean, the way Justin Herbert threw the ball yesterday and the way Patrick Mahomes threw the ball yesterday and the way the Chiefs are playing like they are currently, I mean, I'd be nervous if I'm a Chiefs fan about exactly how far you're going to get this year, because you're going to have to start. I mean, after 5 games having a losing record, that's not where you want to be.
No, you wouldn't. And by the way, here's a telling stat for Chief fans. I know everybody's thinking, what about the penalties? What about the penalties? First off, the officiating yesterday was bad, not just in that game, but the Brown Charger game. And somebody's there to complain about the officiating.
Yeah.
That's somebody complaining about the officials.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we had a quick call in there.
Secondly, when I think of Patrick Mahomes, he never turns the ball over. And through 5 games, guess who's tied for the lead with Guess which team is tied for the league lead in turnovers this year?
Giveaways or takeaways?
Giveaways.
I mean, based on the conversation, I'm going to say maybe Kansas City.
Yes, Kansas City and Jacksonville are tied with 11 turnovers apiece.
Unbelievable. I mean, that's not something that for an Andy Reid coached football team, a team that's been Super Bowl or bust the last couple seasons. I mean, that's not what you want to see. And I mean, I'm not sure what's going on in Kansas City. I mean, obviously the run game hasn't really been there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire hasn't been too, impactful, I guess would be the word. I mean, he's had a couple good plays here and there, but I mean, the defense giving up 38 points to the Bills this week, even 30 to the Eagles the week before, 30 to the Chargers, 36 to the Ravens, 29 to the Browns. I mean, I get that you're supposed to like the main strength of that team is their offense with, I mean, the absolute weapons they've got on offense. But I mean, you give up 29, 30 plus points every single week. I mean, you're never gonna be in a situation to, you're gonna be looking for desperation wins at that point. I mean, you can't be certain on your team's performance when you're giving up that many points a week.
I'm glad you mentioned defense because, to be honest, Kansas City's defense was atrocious. I mean, Josh Allen looked like a man amongst boys running.
Yeah.
I mean, you see him hurling, defenders blowing through guys. He looked like a combination of Cam Newton's power and Lamar Jackson's speed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And secondly, I know everybody's saying, well, the Chiefs drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is turning into a wasted draft pick.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, go on.
I mean, thinking back to the 2020 NFL draft, I love Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming out of LSU. He was my favorite player in the draft. But you know who the Chiefs could have drafted instead?
Who was that?
Antoine Winfield Jr.
Yeah. I mean,
I know Cowboy fans are excited about this pup. Mr. Diggs.
Trayvon Diggs. I mean, did you see that interception he had yesterday? The man looks like a wide receiver. But before we get too far into that, there was one other thing I wanted to touch on about that game last night. One of the most mind-blowing things when I was looking at the stats after that game to really see like the numbers. You probably know this because you know everything, Dylan. You're a sports a savant when it comes to numbers. But so just for our listeners, if you didn't know this, did you know Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes were the leading rushers for each of their teams last night?
Yes.
I mean, we knew that this was going to be a passing game. I mean, obviously, Buffalo's got their weapons with we've been talking about Diggs, Stephon Diggs, and Emmanuel Sanders has been playing really well for them this season. And obviously in Kansas City, I mean, you've got Kelsey, you've got Tyreek Hill, you've got Josh Gordon now, who made an appearance last night.
Hey, by the way, don't forget Dawson Knox catching long passes.
Yeah, Dawson Knox has been huge for Buffalo this year. I mean, he's a sneaky little fantasy guy who, if you were able to pick him up on free agents or waiver wire, I'm not so sure if too many people are drafting Dawson Knox this year, maybe late in the drafts, but that's definitely a valued pick you got there. But I mean, obviously going into this game, the passing offenses were going to be or on display last night. But just the fact that Josh Allen was 11 carries for 59 yards, a 5.4 average, 22-yard long with the touchdown, and Patrick Mahomes 8 for 61, 23-yard long rush. I mean, you know, it's fun football. I mean, I'm obviously I love watching the pass. I mean, I think the run game is obviously important. You need the run game to set up the pass. You need the pass to set up the run. But it's all important. But I mean, you know, there's nothing more fun than watching those two guys sling the ball in the air, and that's what we definitely got last night. But you know, let's transition a little bit. There was a little battle of Ohio yesterday.
You mean battle times two? I mean, those were some crazy games. I mean, how many missed field goals win the Packers Bengals game? I lost count.
You know, I flipped off at the very end of the Dolphins game, and I tuned into that Packers Bengals overtime fiasco, if you want to call it, honestly, because I mean, within the last 3 minutes of regulation plus overtime, there was 5 missed kicks, I think, between the two of them. I mean, Evan McPherson hits the flag on the upright and he starts jumping around, hugging his holder like he made the game-winning field goal. And it took him a couple seconds for him to turn around and realize he missed, and the game's still going on. I mean, that was one of the craziest finishes I've ever seen.
Yeah, and Joe Burrow started overtime with a horrible interception, bad interception.
First play from scrimmage. I mean, and it's funny, when I was watching that game, for some reason, I didn't say it out loud, but a thought popped in my head. I'm like, I think he's going to throw a pick here. I didn't expect it to be on the first play overtime, and I didn't expect it to be that bad of a throw either. I thought someone was going to make a play. I mean, someone did make a play, but I mean, it's hard not to when you get the ball thrown right to you like that. But
and then Mason Crosby, after what, 3 missed field goals, coming through with a 49-yarder, like that, 4 times the charm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want a chance to redeem yourself. He gets one, doesn't make it, gets another one, doesn't make it. He's finally able to redeem himself on the last one. I mean, hey, at the end of the day, if you got the more points on the scoreboard when that game hits final, it doesn't really matter how it happened. Obviously, he's going to be disappointed in missing those kicks, but he made the one when it counted. So, I mean, they all would have counted. They all would have gave him the same result, but it happened eventually for him. So I'm happy for Mason Crosby. But I mean, definitely one of the craziest games of the day, of the season, and really one of the weirdest finishes I think I've ever seen.
You say crazy, I say Browns Chargers yesterday. Holy mackerel!
Yeah.
That was a crazy. That was like Oklahoma, Texas on Saturday. It was like back and forth. Like one team scored, the other team scored. One team scored, the other team scored.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Herbert, man, that's really all you got to say. I mean, the kid, he looks good. I mean, obviously, as a Miami Dolphins supporter and I feel like we're talking about the Premier League, but and now I almost said Manchester United. Boy, I got to get my head on straight here. As a Miami Dolphins fan, coming into that draft class, obviously, Justin Herbert versus Tua was kind of the which way, who's going to go where, who's going to end up making the decision on Tua, who obviously had a lot of upside, but a little bit of injury history. A little bit more success, I would say, than Herbert had in college, versus Herbert, who looked like a more physically ready for the NFL. Obviously, wasn't dealing with the major hip injury, a little bit bigger of a guy. I mean, the Chargers got Herbert, and I'm happy for Chargers fans. They've got a guy, and he showed up yesterday in that, and another Ohio battle, and credit to him, because the kid looks amazing.
Yeah, I mean, how good was Herbert, not just throwing, but running it in? And I mean, it was weird because LA was down 42-35, scored a touchdown, missed an extra point. And on 3rd and 10, Kevin Stefanski ran the ball. That just shows you how much they trust Baker Mayfield or don't trust him.
Right.
I mean, be honest. I don't know if you saw it happen live, but when you saw LA run the ball on 3rd and 10 late in the game, were you surprised like everybody else?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Cleveland is known for their rushing attack. I mean, Baker's doing a decent job over there. I think he's good enough to get that team and put them in opportunities to succeed and win football games. But when you've got Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb back there, typically you're going to think that's a run first football team, and they pretty much are. But when the game's on the line, you get late when you get into those late game situations, I mean, you got to put the ball in your hands to your quarterback. That's got to be the best opportunity for you to win. I mean, unless you're Tennessee and you can just give it to Derrick Henry, which, I mean, Derrick Henry's a different kind of monster. But I thought one of the craziest, I mean, how about when Austin Ekeler, there we go. How about when Austin Ekeler tried to stand up at the 2-yard line, the Browns players grabbed him and threw him in the end zone? I mean, it's been an age-old argument on whether you should score, whether you shouldn't score, whether you should let them score, whether you shouldn't let them score. And kind of all those questions kind of came into play all at the same time. And Cleveland said, you know what? We want another chance in this game, so you're getting in that end zone.
I'm sure Austin Ekeler fantasy owners didn't mind the extra points. Like You remember the time when Todd Gurley like kneeled twice in 1 year, and his owners were like, "Oh, you kidding me?"
Yeah. It's when fantasy and real world football collide, and the rules of fantasy don't quite apply to the rules of the NFL. But hey, it worked out for fantasy owners. It worked out for the Chargers.
Yeah.
So we do typically like to. We've started a little tradition here on this show, a little segment where at the end of this episode, the end of the Mondays, no one likes Mondays. It's always the beginning of the week, and why not have a little bit of a rant? Sounds like the perfect day of the week to go on a rant. And I know Dylan, I serenaded the audience with the ins and outs of my current hatred for the Miami Dolphins, and I think Dylan's got a very similar take on the state of his Jacksonville Jaguars. Floor's yours, Dylan.
I've been a Jacksonville Jaguar fan for way too long. But losing 20 games in a row sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, be honest, we suck. End quote. I mean, yesterday was a flat embarrassment. You get first minute of the game, Jacksonville fumbled the ball, and Tennessee's returned it for a scoop and score. And I'm like, oh, you kidding me? I mean, be honest, I thought going 1-15 last year was an embarrassment. This season's a bigger embarrassment. I mean, every game we play Derrick Henry, he seemingly runs for 190 yards and 3 touchdowns. It doesn't matter who the head coach is, who the offensive or defensive coordinators are, who's playing in what position. Derrick Henry always kicks up butts. And I know there's always one guy who plays well, doesn't play well against a team. I hate Derrick Henry scoring 9 million points, unless you're in DFS or fantasy football. But yesterday just sucked. Yes, Trevor Lawrence is fine. I've got no problems with Trevor Lawrence. He is not the problem in Jacksonville. I mean, I thought Urban Meyer would have been fine in the NFL because I thought he would have been successful knowing a lot of these players or recruiting many of these players. But be honest, Urban's been an embarrassment. He's been an embarrassment. What happened at the Ohio Bowl is an embarrassment because every coach should fly back with the team no matter you win by 50, lose by 50, win by 3, lose by 3. Suck it up, put your big boy pants on, let's go. Now, wide receiver-wise yesterday, why the heck are we not throwing the Laviska Shenault and who's the other guy? I can't even think of his name now. Not Shenault. Why are we throwing the 2 bums? Why aren't we giving Laviska Shenault, James Robinson every bleeping touch they can get right now? James Robinson's the best thing, and Trevor Lawrence are the best things we've got going right now. Get him the dang ball. Sound like Keyshawn Johnson. I mean, James Robinson got 18 carries for 149 yards yesterday. Laviska Shenault got 1 kick, caught 1 ball. Marvin Jones, a big free agent acquisition from the Detroit Lions, caught 1 ball. What kind of crap is that? Our 2 best wide receivers, now that DJ Charles is gone, caught 2 passes. 2, not 8, not 12, not 15. Like, I didn't see him running around yesterday. I didn't see him running around like Antonio Brown seeing like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Our 2 best wide receivers and we can't get in the dang ball. I mean, Dan Arnold led the team in, and Jamal Agnew led the team in receptions and targets yesterday. And Dan Arnold's been there, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Jamal Agnew's a kick returner for crying out loud.
Hey, he knows how to return He knows how to return missed field goals.
Whatever. So do you. I mean, what happened yesterday was an embarrassment. Final score was 37-19. Be honest, it wasn't even that close. Be honest, it wasn't that close. I'm like, I am sick and tired of us losing. I don't listen. I don't care about Jacksonville losing 20 in a row right now. I mean, I never thought somebody could break the Tampa Bay Buccaneer record for futility. But be honest, I would not be at all surprised if the Jaguars set the NFL consecutive games became the NFL set the NFL consecutive losses streak.
Yeah, I'm. I obviously I wasn't watching the game. I was watching the disaster that was going on a little bit south of you guys. But I mean, like you said, Laviska Shenault, I mean, with DJ Chark out, he's the number one guy. I look at the stat line and I see one catch for 58 yards. Obviously, he's the most talented receiver you guys have. I didn't see the play. I don't know if it was a screen where he broke a tackle. I don't know if it was a long bomb, but
who cares what kind of play it was? Give him the ball.
If he's picking up 58 yards on one play, don't you think you might want to get him the ball a little bit more? That's just me. Obviously, James Robinson. I mean, he had a good game. He's probably the most talented player, or at least a skill player on your team. But I mean, Dan Arnold with the fumble to start the game. I mean, it's when you're playing against an offense with Derrick Henry, they're a division rival that you hate, that you play against all the time. You cannot afford to give them a free touchdown on the first drive of the game without Derrick Henry even seeing the field yet. I mean, you're talking about the consecutive loss streak. We got a matchup next week, and throughout offseason, throughout preseason, throughout training camp, and even after week 1, you and I have been discussing this matchup. We've been talking about this matchup, and I had all the confidence in the world in the Miami Dolphins. And it would just be so Miami Dolphins if we allowed the Jacksonville Jaguars to break their 20-game winless streak in London in front of the Brits. I mean, we've been talking about this for a while. Obviously the confidence I've had in the Dolphins has started here and then here and then here and then here. At this point, I think it's going to be a shootout. I have no idea if the Miami Dolphins can beat Jacksonville this Sunday. I mean, I hope we're assuming Tua is going to be back. Brian Flores says he's making good progress. He thinks he thinks he's going to be practicing. He threw a little bit at the tail end of last week. Obviously just throwing, not really practicing. But Dylan, I think we've got a shootout on our hands here, man. I think it's a toss-up at this point. And the fact that I'm saying that I don't know who's going to win between Miami and Jacksonville is very heartbreaking for me. But at the end of the day, I mean, James Robinson could run for 200 yards on our defense, and we might not be able to do anything about it.
And Myles Gaskin might run for 300.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm still confident in the Dolphins, but it's definitely the matchup that the two of us have been looking for this season, and I'm very excited to watch it go down. Got to wake up a little early for it, but I think that'll be worth it to see the Trevor Lawrence and hopefully Tua Tagovailoa battle. But,
yeah. So are you confident? How confident are you in the Dolphins?
I tell you what, we've been talking about making a little wager for since the schedule got released, I think, but and I had been willing to put pretty much anything down on it. I might have to retract that a little bit more. I'm not so sure. Like you said, I mean, I've still got confidence in my boys, but we got to find some terms that are suitable for the two of us.
I've got an idea.
All right.
An idea. Should we go with if the Dolphins win first or the Jags win first?
It's your show. Let's go if the Jags win first.
Well, you can outwear that hat.
Yep.
For the rest of the year on our podcast.
I knew that was coming.
B, I'm trying to think. Do you have a bike at home?
I don't.
Uh,
I could maybe get one from my parents' house, but I don't know.
okay. Well, then you would need to do a 40-minute cycling class.
40-minute cycling class? Okay.
Or ride around for 40 minutes.
Okay.
And do you see this town?
I see that towel.
Well, if the Jags win, you've got to order one of these Jaguar towels.
All right. And what, wear it around my neck on next week's show?
No, you just have to show it to me.
All right.
But if the Dolphins win, what do you want from me?
Oh boy.
I've got a couple of ideas for punishment.
You know, I brought this up earlier. I'm not so sure how keen you'd be on this one, but you know, I would love, Dylan. I would love to see you live on podcast next Monday sing the Miami Dolphins fight song in front of your viewers, in front of me. I'll have you look up the lyrics. I'll get the music playing in the background. I would love to watch that happen.
I knew you would say that. Doggone you.
And you get A, B, and C. I might need to think of another thing or two to add on to this because
I've got ideas.
that'll take you 30 seconds, you know, not quite a 40-minute bike ride. So what else you got?
Yeah, you know my Jaguar towel here? Well, I was thinking if the Dolphins won, I would get a Miami Dolphin towel.
All right.
And then I would do a 50-minute cycling class.
I can agree to that.
So
Here's the question: do you run with a towel while you're running your marathons?
I run 5K. I run 5Ks. I don't
5Ks?
know. I've got like little towels to fit in my pocket. You think I'm carrying around this towel?
Gatorade towel. No, all right. I won't make you do that, but I like the fight song idea. I like the 50-minute cycling and the Miami Dolphins towel. I think I can agree to those terms.
Okay, so if the Jags win, if the Jags win, the hat's going off. You get a Jag towel and a 40-minute cycling class. But if Miami wins,
I get to witness you on the Big D podcast next Monday singing the Miami Dolphins fight song. You can add a lovely Miami Dolphins Gatorade towel to your personal collection, and you've got a 50-minute. Is it a bike class or a bike ride for you?
Cycling class.
That's a 50-minute cycling class. I think we're good. Can we do like a virtual handshake on that? All right. It's a deal.
What are we thinking?
I don't know, man. It's honestly, I was gonna say I'm glad it's happened. It's come out like this, but I'm really not. But it almost makes it better that Miami's right there in the doghouse with you, because it really turns this game a little bit more interesting. Because if Miami came out like they did last year, I would have felt a little bit bad for you, but I think it's pretty much fair at this point. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying it, but the Miami Dolphins at this point it may as well be on par with Jacksonville. It's really, I mean, where our expectations were and where we are right now is just a complete and utter shock and disappointment. But
hey, by the way, the good news of the Jags is that we get to keep our draft pick. You don't, because of that trade with Philadelphia.
Yeah, we've got not Arizona, San Francisco's first round, which fortunately they lost yesterday. But I mean, bad news for you Jaguars fans though is after Miami, you've got Seattle and then BUF. Well, actually, it would be a Russell Wilson with Seattle, so I mean, we'll see how Geno Smith does against you guys, but you got a trip to Buffalo or a matchup with the Buffalo Bills the week after that. So you might be looking forward to the week after when you got Indy for your next shot at a victory. I mean, fortunately, we've got Houston, I think, after Jacksonville. So might be hopefully. I mean, Miami Tua can come back and we can put a little bit of a win streak together. I know the Dolphins' schedule gets a lot easier after that Tampa game yesterday. So
a lot easier. You mean spicier, right?
I mean, yeah, there's no such thing as easy when it comes to Miami Dolphins anymore. I've learned that very quickly. But I mean, oh no, we've got Atlanta before. Is that? Yeah, I guess so. So we've got Jacksonville, Atlanta, Buffalo, Houston, Baltimore, the Jets, the Panthers, the Giants. So there's definitely some winnable games coming up for Miami, but you know, at this point, I don't know what this football team is anymore. So I really don't even know what to expect.
Yeah. So good luck to you. Good luck to your Dolphins, and hopefully Tua comes back and what happens if the game ends in a tie?
Game ends in a tie. I think it's pretty much a wash. I mean, I think we'll have enough excitement from the game if it ends in a tie that I don't know. I mean, I guess we could do the hat and the song maybe and call it even there. I don't know.
Oh no.
I'm trying to sneak that song in there.
If it ends in a 3-3 tie, I might throw up next week.
If it ends in a 3-3 tie, we gotta pick some new teams, Dylan, because I don't know if we'd be able to stomach ourselves after that.
Yeah, that might be one to dread if that happened. Okay, so thanks for hopping on, and we'll see you next week.
All right, always, Dylan. Thanks for having me. See you next week.